Section YY8 podcast. I'm Negative Nease, joined by absolutely no one this week. Harb, not able to join us tonight. We'll get to that in a second. Tried to get a few other guests to come on. A couple of them fell through. Tried one last ditch effort with a very special guest, but that didn't work out either. But it's just me this week. A lot to talk about, obviously. Wish Harb was here, but Harb's both sick and he's tired. So Harb's sick and tired, and I guess that's kind of about how I feel too about this Tennessee basketball program. Wish I would have recorded Saturday night after Tennessee lost at home to Alabama, 71-69 at Thompson-Boling Arena. Not a great night for the Vols. We'll get to that in a second, but I was not in a great mood, and text the podcast text group, and Negative Nease has returned. So God help us all when football season comes around. But the way things are going with early season struggles for Tennessee baseball, these late game collapses by Tennessee men's basketball, the Lady Vols basketball team is just on a spiral nosedive. They lost 6 in a row. We'll get to them in a minute too, but only bright spot right now on campus is Lady Vol softball, currently 19-0, just rolling through opponents. Didn't really roll through opponents this weekend, but still found a way to win, I think, 5 different games, maybe 6 over the weekend. So big weekend for them. They're 19-0. I believe they start SEC play next weekend. But big story on this week's show is Tennessee continuing to collapse late in games. Not necessarily last week against Missouri. Vols went 0-2 last week, losing at Missouri and then coming home losing to Alabama. Both games they were slight favorites in. Moderate favorites, you might say. Analytics had Tennessee as a 67% favorite to win at Missouri and about that same total versus Alabama this past Saturday at Thompson-Boling Arena. But Tennessee led by, I believe, 10, maybe 12 early on in that Missouri game, but Missouri fought back. That game was back and forth, tight ball game. Most of the game, or at least 3/4 of that game. But the Bama game kind of goes in that category with Kentucky. Earlier in the year, home versus Kentucky blew a 16-point lead. On the road at Kentucky blew a 14-point lead. We've blown double-digit leads against Kansas earlier in the season, although it wasn't as late as the Bama and 2 Kentucky games. But you get the picture of this team. I don't want to call them choke artists, but my God, they sure look like it. The loss on Saturday and the loss last Tuesday puts the Vols now at 10-6 in SEC play. Really should be 13-3 if you think about it. But 10-6 overall, that knocks them out of a top 4 position, which would be a double bye in Nashville. I think they're the 6th seed currently. But the big question going forward is, one, Nate Ament was injured in a pretty gruesome-looking injury. I don't think it's anything too serious. They're just taking precautions with him. Doubt he'll play versus South Carolina Tuesday. Up in the air if he'll play even this coming Saturday against Vandy. But what does Tennessee look like going forward if he's not able to play? That's a big question. The other question I had was, why does this team continue to collapse late in games? You look back this past Saturday, yes, we didn't have Nate Ament. I get that. He's your best player. He compliments Gillespie when they're on the court, and it helps Gillespie out. But he wasn't out there Saturday, and he wasn't out there the majority of the time that they led by 12 points. But it goes back to this program under Rick Barnes, and I love Rick Barnes. He's one of my favorite coaches. I love this program. They've won a lot more basketball games than they've lost here, and they've advanced a lot further than a lot of other teams in this program's history. 2 Elite Eights in a row. That just doesn't happen here. I mean, we've had 3 Elite Eight appearances in program history. 2 of them have been the last 2 years under Rick Barnes. But I say all that to say is it seems like this program just cannot get out of its own way. You look back years ago when Tennessee played Purdue in the Sweet 16 up in Louisville. Me and Thomas Raines were there. We were down 51-33 to a team we were better than. We missed, I believe, 18 free throws that game. Fought back, had the game essentially won. Whether Lamonte Turner fouled Edwards in the corner, that's another topic. But don't give him that opportunity. And they did. Luckily, he didn't make all 3, and the game got to go to overtime, but we still couldn't win it. How many times are we going to get to the Elite Eight and things not go our way or get matched up with teams that have better players than we do? How many times is this program going to go to the NCAA tournament and lose to teams that they're better than? Loyola Chicago, Michigan. They just can't get out of their own way, and it's the same thing if you watch these games every time. They can't score. They go stretches where they can't score, especially in the second half. They can't make free throws. And I just think this program's got, I love this program. It's got too many nice guys, and they just don't have that killer instinct on this team right now. They just don't. I like Jacoby Gillespie, but he was the only person doing anything in the second half for the Vols. The rest of the time, it looked like they were just stuck in the mud. And the post play has been horrific for Tennessee this year. I love the way Jalen Carey, how hard that guy plays. They all play hard. Felix Okpara is one of the best, if not the best, post defenders in the country. Watch him guard, a 1 or a 2 on the court. They don't get by him. And he's an elite rebounder, an elite shot blocker. Jalen Carey is an elite rebounder. But the problem is Tennessee shoots the ball so poorly most of the time. They get a ton of offensive rebounds, and that's great, but they don't capitalize on it. They just absolutely do not capitalize on all of these offensive rebounds they get. They were 12 of 29 on layup attempts against Alabama on Saturday. 12 of 29. And these Jalen Carey stats, I text some people today, they continue to fascinate me. Here's one. Our friend of the show, Jordan Moore, he's on X at Jordan Moore _21. Tennessee is 7-7 against P6 competition when Jalen Carey plays 20-plus minutes. They are 6-2 when he plays 19 minutes. And you'll see as these stats go on, the more Jalen Carey plays, the worse Tennessee is. It's incredible. And it doesn't make any sense. You would think a guy that's getting this many rebounds, that's dominating the glass as much as he does, that they would be able to score at will. 12 of 29 free throws or layups. 12 of 29. It's just I was so frustrated Saturday night watching that game. It's unbelievable how many layups this team misses. We'll look back once this season is over, and it'll be incredible to look back and see how many layups this team has missed this year. I'd like to see that stat. But the Vols unable to find a way to win that game. It was a pathetic loss, much like the Kentucky games earlier this season. Like I said, Tennessee should be 13-3 and sitting at either number 2, number 3 in the conference right now. But they're not. They didn't do it. They gave up They choked and gave up leads, a 17-point lead versus Kentucky, a 14-point lead versus Kentucky, a 13-point lead versus Bama, a 12-point lead versus Kansas, a 10-point lead versus Missouri. If you're a 12 seed, which we'll get to seeding here in a minute, and you see Tennessee's name pop up next to yours, you got to be licking your chops. Just keep it within 10 or 15 points, and you got a chance. Because the Vols will absolutely go into a shell. They'll hold the ball for 30, 33 seconds, take a bad shot, get an offensive rebound, miss a layup, and you'll get it and go down the floor, and you'll go on a quick 6-8-0 run, and boom, you're right back in the game. That's what happens to this team. Every game they play, it doesn't matter if they win or lose, it happens every game. They cannot put their foot on an opponent's throat and pull away. The only time they've done that recently is Oklahoma, and they let Oklahoma get that game down to 6 points with like 5 or 6 minutes to go. And they led that whole game by 12 to 15 points. So the Vols got 2 more chances to win some games coming up. Like I said, they're 10-6. They can finish 12-6, which is what they went last year in the SEC. Harb and I said a couple weeks ago we thought they'd go 13-5. With as well as they were playing a couple weeks ago, we both, I said 14-4 was on the table. That's definitely not going to happen now. But Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, they're at South Carolina. College basketball BPI gives the Vols an 82.7% chance to win. Like I said, I don't think Nate Ament's going to play. I don't think it really matters. I mean, you still got to come out and play the game, and you can't dick around, but I think the Vols can beat South Carolina easily without him. Then you've got Vandy at home next Saturday. Last home game of the year, last regular season game. Tennessee right now sits at 66.8% chance to win that basketball game. So that's a quad 1 game. The South Carolina's a quad 2 game, so it'll really help their resume if they can beat Vandy at home. I don't, unless Missouri and Kentucky lose some games this week, I don't know that they'll get that, double bye. They can. Right now, their projected NCAA tournament seed, according to TeamRankings.com, is a 5 seed. So they really moved no positions this week, even with 2 losses. Most likely seed actually went up from, I believe it was 26 or 28% last week as a 5 seed to 30% as a 5 seed. So that's what the Vols are kind of looking at. It still has their tournament chances, 100% to make the tournament, obviously. 79% chance to advance to the round of 32. Making the Sweet 16 has dropped a little bit. Last week it was about 49%. Now it's down to 39.6%. to make the Sweet 16. But you'll remember last week, looking at these numbers, Tennessee had a legit opportunity to become a 4 seed, which would have increased those percentages. But they didn't. They choked. They blew it. And y'all just better buckle up, because that's what this team is. They're going to do it again, whether it's, hopefully, to God, not Tuesday night against South Carolina, but they could do it against Vandy. They could do it in a 6, if they're the 6th seed in the SEC tournament versus a 14 or an 11 seed, which right now would be, I believe, Oklahoma or Auburn, or maybe Ole Miss and Auburn. I don't know which one. But this team's going to do it again, and we're all going to be pissed off afterwards, and we're going to be shaking our heads when it happens and asking why is this team doing this? But it's just who they are. It's March 2nd as this recording's taking place, and they are who they are at this point. They're going to miss layups like crazy left and right. JP Estrella, he just turns around and shoots it like he's a junior pro player, just throws it up, doesn't even know where the rim is. Weak hands, can't grab the basketball, he gets a rebound, the ball just flies out of his hands, taken from him. Huge disappointment, JP Estrella, this year. Really wanted that kid to take the next step and succeed, but poor play along with injuries has just held him back, and he's beginning to wonder if it's possible. I'm not giving up on him, but he's just had a very disappointing year. like most of our post players. But Vols are up. South Carolina this Tuesday. Vandy at home this Saturday. Mentioned earlier, Lady Vols lost again twice this week. That's 6 in a row. Just a terrible, terrible finish to the season for Kim Caldwell and the Lady Vols. They're the 6th seed. They lost 6 in a row, but they're just the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. So they'll have to play on Thursday over in Greenville, South Carolina. Not sure who they'll play yet, but we'll, I guess, keep you posted on that. Tennessee baseball. You remember last weekend they lost 2 out of 3 to Kent State. Came home and or stayed at home last Tuesday. Took down Bellarmine in a pay game. I believe it was 1-0 going into the 7th inning when Tennessee finally broke it open. The offense has been an enigma this year so far early in the season for the Diamond Vols. They've really struggled at the plate. You know, Levi Clark is batting like $150 right now. Just no power from these guys. But they went to Arlington this weekend, took on UCLA, ended up losing that game 11-5 on Friday. Had that game down to 5-4 at one point late in the game in the bullpen. Walked 4 batters, hit 4 batters. And I was going to come on here and complain a lot about the bullpen, but they bounced back and had really good games on Saturday against Arizona State and a really good game on Sunday against Virginia Tech, both wins. So they go down to Arlington at Globe Life Field, finish 2-1. They're back at home Tuesday night at Lindsey Nelson Stadium versus ETSU, I believe, and then on Wednesday versus Oakland. And then they've got Wright State at home next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then next weekend after next, kicks off SEC play. So the Vols are going to try to look to get these bats going. A little more consistency, a little more pop, a little more power. Pitching was awesome this weekend. Tegan Coons, Landon Mack starting, had great outings for the Volunteers. Bullpen, like I mentioned, bounced back on Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, are the Vols at the level they were last couple years right now? Probably not, but it's a young season. They've got plenty of time to figure this thing out. They've still got several games, I believe. Let's see, they got 5 this week and at least 1 next week. So they got about 6 or 7 more games before they kick off SEC play. A week after next, they host Tennessee Tech before they go to Georgia. But the Vols turned it around and had a good weekend, 2-1, which is a good weekend down there. Arizona State and Virginia Tech's not top 25 teams, but they're not Wright State. You know, they're Power 4 teams, and you can't just show up and think you're going to win. You got to come out there and play hard against them, and that's what the Vols were able to do. So that's all I got for this week's show. I wanted to try to pump something out. Everybody was asking today where the show was. I blame Harb. He was sick yesterday. He had to work today. Like I mentioned, I tried last minute to get some guests on the show. We're going to have some different guests coming up if we can work it out, some different voices for y'all to hear. Some voices you'll know, some you'll hear for the first time, so hoping to do that soon. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to us on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button, share, leave us a comment, tell us what you think about the show. Help us get that algorithm going so people will see it. If you're listening to us, you can check us out on YouTube if you want, but if you want to listen to us, you know, when you're driving in your truck or exercising or whatever, you can get us on pretty much wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Just Google search Section YY8 and we'll pop up. So you'll be there. So prayers up to Harb. He's sick and he's tired. He's sick and tired. Bless his heart. Hopefully have him back soon so we can talk more Vols. So in honor of Harb, I'm Negative Nease. Thank you guys for listening to this week's show. Go Vols, and we'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.